This is about Upper Whiteston Farm, which I once owned, and how the Bank of Scotland treated us. My father retired from the farm in 1972. I took over the tenancy from him with the full approval of the landlord, the factor and the landlord. Upper Whiteston was a rearing farm. It extended to 540 acre, 300 acre which was arable and the rest old arable and the rough grazing. There was 40 acre which was of a rifle range. Upper Whiteston lay at between 500 and 750 feet above sea level. Upper Whiteston carried a stock of 300 breeding ewes in regular ages. Half the flock was black-faced crossed with a blue-faced Leicester. Ewes were crossed with a top. Approximately 400 fat lambs being sold every year. A herd of approximately 80 breeding cows, which were mainly Shorthorn Friesian crossed with the Hereford bull. However, our herd was infected with brucellosis. As the cows aborted, they were sold fat through the local markets in Stirling. As infected cows were replaced with blue-grey heifers purchased in the Scottish borders and kept apart from the infected herd. I built the herd to approximately 100 blue-grey cows and heifers and was accredited before brucellosis testing was compulsory. In the early '79 I was approached by the factor to either buy the farm or take the golden handshake of 30,000. I had a son who was very keen to follow in my footsteps, so I decided to buy. I was a fully paid up member of the NFU and I could have got a term loan to run 15 years from them. I spoke to the bank manager D. Ingles about this, and he offered me the same term loan agreement as I could have got from NFU. To get this term loan, I had to have a medical examination and take out a standard life endowment mortgage to run 15 years. These policies were assigned to the bank to get the term loan. I took over the ownership of Upper Whiteston in November '79. I got a British linen cheque from the bank to give to my lawyers, which was McLean, Stewart and Dunblane. This was for 70,000 to pay the farm. On the face of this, everything looked okay. And it was like the term loan I had asked for. With the term loan in place, I decided to join the Farm and Horticultural Development Scheme. This was a scheme designed to improve farm buildings, fencing, draining, shelter belts, reseeding. To get into this scheme, it had to be agreed by the bank as well as the Department of Agriculture. The bank had to sign the agreement as well as myself, and I employed a firm of agricultural consultants, Hayes, McGubbin and McFarlane, and it was a Mr. McFarlane that got me into the scheme. In about 1980 I was approached by Mr. John Wallace to purchase 2 cottages and a 26 acre field from me. I sold them the field and cottages for 75,000. After expenses, 70,000 was paid into my bank in two payments. This 70,000 was to fund my farm and horticultural development scheme. However, the bank took it upon themselves to pay off my term loan. No necessary disbursement form was ever signed by us. I asked Ingles to get it sorted and it never was. I went ahead and built the cattle court and silage pits. On the assumption my money would be put in my current account. It never was. If I had not rolled over the money, I would have to pay away £54,132 in capital gains tax. In 1980, I noticed £25 to £26 being taken from my account by the Scottish Provident. When asked Ingalls about this, I was told this was to do with my standard life assurance policies. I was left desperately short of money through this act by the bank. Early 82 I was told by Ingalls to sell my breeding herds of 100 cows and calves and 160 young stock before they were fat. This was the backbone of my business. After this I had virtually no income. I was forced to sell 2 parcels of land, 114 acres arable and 94 acres to forestry. In about 1983, the old farm buildings went on fire through an electrical fault which the bank would not allow me to sort. Through the sale of land and the fire, I was run into capital gains tax of £39,000, which the bank did not want to know about. In the 11th of December 1984, £30,217.44 was taken from my account. When asked about this, I was told it was unapplied interest. I was bankrupted and evicted from Upper Whiteston on the 5th of July 1988. When the dust settled, I started to look into where things went wrong. I went to the Bank of Scotland, Monroe Road, Stirling, to get the terms and conditions of my term loan, which was to run 15 years. The term loan number was 00139729. I was told by 2 bank managers there that this was not a term loan, it was an overdraft. This was fraud, and fraud at its best. I contacted Scottish Provident about being part of Standard Life. I was told Scottish Provident was a separate company and asked about money being taken from my account of £25 to £26 per month. They could find no trace of my name, my wife's name, or her trading name, David Bryce and Son. This was theft, and theft at its best. When asked about paying off the loan and depriving me of working capital, and no necessary disbursement or authorisation from us or our lawyers, McLean and Stewart Dunblane. This was fraud on behalf of the bank, who had signed up to let my farm and horticultural scheme go ahead. When asked about money taken from my account on the 11th of December 1984 for £30,217 and to be told it was unapplied interest, this was a parcel of lies. It was stealing at its best. Whose pension fund was I paying? Was it Bryce or was it Ingalls? Ingalls was a thief, as he sat and watched the money being taken from my account. From 1986 to 1980 to 1985, also money taken from my account on the 11th of December. Ingalls sat and watched about 32,000 disappear from my account. The Bank of Scotland was nothing better than fraudsters, liars and thieves. Fraud being giving me an overdraft instead of a term loan. Paying off the loan without permission. Theft, stealing money from my bank account, approximately 32,000. Lies. Scottish Provident had nothing to do with Standard Life. I have been to many lawyers to try and get justice for all this. But when we try to get legal aid, bank steps in and stops our legal aid. I have been to the police and was told that it was up to the bank to sort this out. And may I add, the Bank of Scotland employs fraud investigators herself and will do nothing about it. I've been to the banking ombudsman and was told to get the bank to sort this mess out themselves. Trustee in bankruptcy Pringle Perth was a waste of space. He was only interested in my son's business, as my son was given money by my late father to start a small business. He did not sit there for 3 years, but he sat for 6. All because I told him on many occasions what I thought of him. At the end of the day, his sedernt book contained in a box and 2 bits of paper. That was his 6 years' work. Upper Whiteston lay empty for 6 months after we were evicted. They allowed it to be vandalised and gave it away for 120,000. This was only the price of the cattle court and silage flat. A good farmhouse and 387 acres thrown into the bargain. John Nicholson Bank Action Group had a confrontation with John Taylor, head of the Bank of Scotland, at the Highland Show in 2005. The bank phoned and asked my wife how much I needed to sell, and then was told I had no case. The bank will answer no letters from us, but seem to think fraud, stealing and lies are all part of the banking business. John Nicholson's daughter, who is a CA, done the audit up until 82 when I had the breeding herd, and it showed I was running a good and profitable business. My business was ruined by the ignorance of the Bank of Scotland. We suspect this eviction of ours was illegal. The Bank of Scotland could not run a piss up in that brewery. You can what you want to put that up, but that's me for it.
This is the letter sent to the Complaints Department of the Bank of Scotland in Leeds on the 20th of May 2016, and it was sent by recorded delivery. Heading: Upper Whiteston Farm, Dunblane. We have been advised by Training Standards Service, Stirling and Clackmannan Councils to write to you regarding the purchase of Upper Whiteston Farm, Dunblane. In 1978 we were approached by the factor of the Kippendavy estate either to purchase the farm or give up the tenancy. We approached the Bank of Scotland, the manager of the Bank of Scotland, to King Street, Stirling, for a term loan to purchase with the cost being 70,000. Mr. Bryce was a fully paid up member of the National Farmers Union and could have had a term loan from them. However, we decided to take the offer up with the Bank of Scotland. To obtain the term loan, Mr. Bryce had to have a medical examination. He also had to have a Standard Life Endowment Assurance mortgage policy to cover 15 years term loan. We joined the Farm and Horticultural Development Scheme. This was a scheme to improve farm buildings, reseedle pastures, plant shelter belts, drainage and fencing. To finance this scheme, we sold 2 cottages and a 26-acre field for 75,000. For this scheme to go ahead, it had to be approved by the Bank of Scotland and the Department of Agriculture and ourselves. The bank manager was well aware of the situation and was fully agreeable for the scheme to go ahead. When the money was paid in 2 instalments, McLean and Stewart, our solicitors, were instructed to pay these instalments directly into our current account. The bank took it upon themselves to pay off the loan without the necessary disbursement form. We went ahead and built a cattle court and 2 silage pits. This desperately left us short of working capital. Mr. Bryce persistently asked Mr. Ingalls, the bank manager, to reinstate the loan, but this was never done. and as a result we were forced to sell our breeding herd, the backbone of our business, also 170 head of cattle before they were fat. We were also forced to sell 2 parcels of land, and this led to capital gains tax, about which the bank did not want to know. We were evicted from our home on the 5th of July 1988, along with our son and daughter. We now suspect the eviction was illegal. After we were evicted from our farm, Mr. Bryce had time to look into why we were evicted. The so-called term loan number 00139,729 we have learned was not a term loan number but an overdraft. Why then did Mr. Bryce need to have a medical examination and a standard life assurance policy? This was fraud, and fraud at its best. From 1980 to 1985 we were stock trading. When we were stock trading, £25 to £26 per month was debited from our account by Scottish Provident. When Mr. Bryce asked Mr. Ingalls what this was about, he was told it was to do with Standard Life. Scottish Provident could find no trace of Alexander David Bryce or Christine Cooper Bryce or the firm of David Bryce and Son. Whose pension were we paying? Was it Donald Ingalls or our Burgess assistant manager? On the 7th of December 1984, £30,217.44 was debited from our account. When asked about this, Mr. Bryce was told this was an applied interest. This again was utter lies. Ingalls was a thief. If he wasn't taking the money for himself, he watched the money being taken out of our account and had the full power to stop this. We had a report done for John Nicholson from the Bank Action Group, by John Nicholson, from the Bank Action Group, by his daughter who was a qualified CA, and this showed we were running a good profitable business. Our business was ruined by a bank manager who was a fraudster, a liar and a thief. Fraud being the term, loan lies being Scottish Provident, linked to Standard Life, and theft being the money taken from our account. Our total losses were 500 acre farm, 100 breeding cows and calves, 169 young stock, 300 breeding ewes, 3 stock bulls, 10 stock tups, fully equipped farm tractors, combine, etc. to run a stock and arable farm, and insurance policies. We had 10 years of hassle between the Bank of Scotland, sheriff officers and Alistair Pringle, who was a trustee in bankruptcy from Perth, who sat for 6 years instead of 3. Our lives have been ruined. Also our son's life was ruined. We are seeking consideration of making an appropriate, we are seeking your consideration of making an appropriate award of financial redress or compensation, i.e. £1 million to cover each year we've been out of business. We will give you until Wednesday the 29th of June 2016 to reply to us, or we'll have no alternative but take this matter to the next stage. Where was the Bank of Scotland's duty of care in this case?